Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture of GS Paper 2 Syllabus in brief. First I will be discussing the syllabus and then I will tell you the various sources from where you can study GS Paper 2 in a brief and lucid manner. So let us begin. In General Studies Paper 2 we have Governance, Constitution, Polity, Social Justice and International Relations. At first we have Indian Constitution. In this we have historical underpinnings. In this you should know about the various acts from 1773 to 1947 Indian Independence Act. What were the features of this act? And how did this act impacted Indian Constitution? Then we have evolution. In evolution, you should know about the various amendments and the cases and judgments such as the Menka Gandhi case, which have led to evolution of Indian Constitution. Then we have features. What are the features of Indian Constitution? That it is secular in nature, it is socialistic in nature, it is federal structure with a unitary bias. These are the features. Then we have amendments. The significant amendments like 42nd Amendment, 44th Constitutional Amendment, 86th Constitutional Amendment, this should be known to you. And what were the provisions or features of this constitutional amendment, that should be known to you. Then we have significant provisions. What are the significant provisions? Like we have fundamental rights, directive principles of state policy, fundamental duties. These are the significant provisions of Indian Constitution. Then in basic structure, you should know about the definition of basic structure. What are the features of basic structure? Like secularism is one of the features. Then we have free and fair elections. Then we have federal structure is one of the features of basic structure, like this. And then you should know about the timeline, that the basic structure, how it evolved with various cases. Like we have Shankari Prasad Deo case, then we have Golaknath case, then we had at last Keshwanand Bharti case. So in this Keshwanand Bharti case, the judiciary derived the basic structure of constitution. So this timeline should be known to you, along with a special focus on Keshwanand Bharti case. Then we have functions and responsibilities of union and the states. So the three functions and responsibilities are legislative, executive and financial. So what are the functions and responsibilities that you should know? Then we have issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure. One of the issue is misuse of CBI. Then we have role of governor who acts in a partisan manner. So these are some of the issues and challenges pertaining to federal structure. Then we have devolution of power and finances up to local level, that how power is devolved and how finances are devolved up to local level. For this we have 11th and the 12th schedule, and for finances we have State Finance Commission. Then what are the challenges also you should know? One of the challenges is that the mayor is just a rubber stamp. He does not have enough political power. Similarly, the municipalities cannot collect taxes. They are dependent on the state government for funding. Then we have separation of powers between various organs. That how separation of power has been there in Indian Constitution. In this you should know that there is no strict separation of power in Indian Constitution. Rather there is confluence of power between various organs, and then you should have knowledge of various doctrines of judiciary about separation of power, like the doctrine of limited power, doctrine of constitutionalism, etc. Then we have dispute redressal mechanism. Under mechanism we have arbitration, mediation, reconciliation and other mechanism. And the institutions, in this we have Supreme Court, High Court, Lok Adalat, Gram Nyalay and various other institutions for dispute redressal. Then we have comparison of Indian constitutional scheme with that of other countries. In this you should be able to compare the Constitution of India. Like one of the features of Constitution of India is secularism. Another is federal structure with unitary bias. So these are features of Indian Constitution. This you should be able to compare with other countries' constitution, especially with respect to America and Britain, that what are the features of Indian Constitution and how do they differ from other countries. Then we have parliament and state legislature. What is their structure? How do they function? How do they conduct business? What are their powers and privileges and the issues arising out of this? See, in functioning, how do they function? They pass motions, they pass bills, okay, they conduct debate. Then in privileges, you should know what are the privileges of legislatures and parliamentarian in Indian Constitution and what are the issues with this. See, for functioning, one of the issue is that there has been frequent disruptions. Then there have been walkouts. So this affects functioning of parliament. Similarly, for privileges, these privileges have not been codified. So this leads to their misuse. Like this you should know. Then we have structure, organization and functioning of executive and judiciary. That how executive and judiciary are structured and organized. For executive, we have various ministries, then we have various departments, then we have state and central government. So like this, bureaucracy or the executive has been organized. And similarly, how do they function? The executive and judiciary, how do they function? Then we have ministries and departments of government. In this, you should know how the ministries and departments function and what are their shortcomings. One of the shortcomings is that they have manpower issues. Then another shortcoming is that they have budget issues. They have budget constraints like this. Then we have pressure groups, formal, informal associations, and their role in polity. That how are pressure groups formed? Why are they formed in the first place, and what role do they play in polity and politics of the country? Then we have salient features of Representation of People's Act. See, this is the only act which has been mentioned in the UPSC syllabus in the whole paper of GS 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an important act. You should know about its features. What are the provisions in this act which provide for qualification and disqualification? And you should also know the number, the important number of the provisions, like what is the number of provision, this, so the numbers should be known to you. Then we have appointment to various constitutional posts. That how are the various constitutional posts such as CAG, Election Commission, UPSC, how are the members to this post appointed? What are their powers? What are their functions? What are their responsibilities? Along with this, you should know what are the issues with them. See, one of the issue of Election Commission is that its funds are not charged on Consolidated Fund of India. Rather, it is dependent on the Law Ministry for its funding. So like this, and again, you should know the article number of these constitutional bodies. Like 324 is for Election Commission. Okay, 280 is for Finance Commission. So this you should know in this. Then we have statutory, regulatory, and various quasi-judicial bodies. In this, we will have various bodies like RBI, SEBI, TRAI. So these are statutory, regulatory, and quasi-judicial bodies which are there for regulation purposes. So here we will know why these bodies are needed, what is their functions, and what are the issues with them. Various bodies such as the TRAI are dependent on funding via ministries. They do not have independent budget of themselves, so this affects their independence. So this is one of the issues. Then we have government policies and intervention for development in various sector and issues arising out of their design and implementation. What are the government policies? Like we have Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Nidhi, Pradhan Mantri Gram Awas Yojana. So these are the various policies which government has taken for development. But you should also know about the issues arising out of their design and implementation. What are the issues with Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Nidhi? That the insurance based model is not sustainable in the long run. So like this, you should know about their design and implementation issues. Then we have development process and development industry, role of NGOs. In this, we should know the definition of NGO, the role of NGO, and what are the issues with NGO. One of the issues is that they have been used for money laundering. So like this, these are some of the issues. Similarly, for various other groups, be it SHG, okay, donors, charities, and institutional and other stakeholders, you should know the definition and issues with respect to them and what are their functions. Then we have welfare schemes for vulnerable sections. Who are the vulnerable sections? SCs, STs, minorities, women. So what are the welfare schemes for them? Okay, see, we have Stand Up India. Then we have Accessible India campaign for the welfare of these weaker sections by center state. And the performance of these schemes, how are they performing? That what are the issues with respect to Stand Up India, how it can be improved, this should be known by us. Then we have mechanisms, laws, institutions, and bodies constituted for protection and betterment of these vulnerable sections. What are the mechanisms? One of the mechanisms or laws is that Prevention of Atrocities Act for SC ST. Then in institutions, it can be NHRC, or in body, it can be National Commission for SC or National Commission for ST. So these are some of the mechanism, laws, and institution for their protection. Then we have issues relating to development and management of social sectors / services. In this, we have health, education, and human resource. This will be mostly based on current affairs. The various schemes which government has undertaken for health, education, and human resource development. Like in 2020 mains NEP 2020 was asked, because this is related to education and this was in news recently. So you should know about the various schemes. Okay, what are their pros, what are their cons, and how these schemes can be improved related to health, education, and human resource. In human resource, one of the scheme is Skill India Mission. So like this, you should know about various schemes. Then we have issues related to poverty and hunger. What are the issues with respect to poverty and hunger, and how poverty and hunger are interrelated with each other, and what government steps have been taken to eliminate them. One of the government steps is ration card scheme is there. Then we are doing food fortification also. Then we have midday meal also for eliminating poverty and hunger. Then we have important aspects of governance. What are the important aspects of governance? Like we have transparency, accountability, citizen participation. These are important aspects of governance. Then we have transparency and accountability. What is the definition of transparency and accountability, how it can be ensured? Then we have e-governance, applications, models, success, limitations, and potential. In this, you should know the various successful implementation of e-governance models, such as we have Project Bhumi in Karnataka. Project Bhumi in Karnataka, this is one of the success. Then we have Passport Seva Kendra. This is again one of the success for e-governance. Then we have Citizen Charter. In Citizen Charter, you should know about the philosophy of Citizen Charter. What is its philosophy in the first place? Okay, what are its issues and how it can be improved? Then we have transparency and accountability and institutional measures to ensure it. In this, we will have RTI, CAG. Okay, then we have social audit. So these are the transparency and accountability institutional and measures which ensure transparency and accountability. Then we have role of civil services in a democracy. In this, we will have what is the role of civil services in a democracy. See, one of the role is that they have policy implementation. Then another role is that they provide feedback mechanism. Then another role is that they provide continuity, as government may change but civil services provide continuity in a democracy. So like this, we should know the role of civil services in a democracy and the issues with respect to this role. What are the issues there in bureaucracy? Then we have India and its neighborhood relations, the various relations of India with its neighbors like Bangladesh, China, Bhutan, Nepal, etc. Then we have bilateral, regional, and global groupings such as BRICS, SCO, Quad, or SARC, in which India is involved, and the agreements involving India or affecting India's interests. Some of the agreements are like there is RCEP, MTCR. So these agreements either involve India or affect India's interest. Then we have effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest. In these various policies, such as the deglobalization by USA, that it is not issuing H-1B visa. Okay, it is dismantling WTO. Then we have wolf warrior diplomacy of China, or which is known as the aggressive foreign policy by China, or we have Brexit. So these are some of the important policies or politics in developed and developing countries which affect India's interest. And then we have Indian diaspora. In Indian diaspora, we will have what is the role of Indian diaspora, the positive role, like they have some social role, they have economical role, they have political role, they have cultural role. What are the issues with respect to Indian diaspora? One of the issue is that they face racism. Then we have visa issues also. Then what is the negative role of Indian diaspora? Some of the Indian diaspora are involved in money laundering. So this is a negative role also. Then we have important international institutions, agencies, and fora. In this, you will have UN, WTO, IMF. So these are important institutions at global level. Then their structure should be known to you, that what is the structure of UN. Like it has UNSC, UNGA. This is structure. In WTO, we have the ministerial conference at the top. Then we have dispute settlement body. This is the structure. Then what is the mandate? What is the mandate of UN, UNSC, UNGA, UNICEF, WTO, and IMF? That should be known to us. Then we have sources. I have tried to keep them in brief as much as I could. So for polity, we have Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant. For governance, you can have second ARC summary. Please do not read the whole second ARC, just the summary. Then we have Niti Aayog strategy for New India. This will help us for governance. and health, education, and human resource, and the various other policies can be read by it. Then in economic survey, you should study it in brief and the topics which are related to GS2. There are some topics in economic survey which are related to GS2, like the urban local bodies is now a huge focus in economic survey. So from there you can extract some points for GS2. Then we have current affairs magazines and newspaper. Generally current affairs of 1 year before main exam is recommended. Then you can use internet for value addition and selective note making, but one thing is that please do not make internet as your primary source, otherwise you will be overwhelmed by the information. Then we have articles from EPW and down to earth can be analyzed for enriching language and writing skills. So you can read 1 or 2 articles in weekends from EPW or down to earth or Yojana or Kurukshetra. So this more or less concludes our syllabus discussion in brief. In next video, we'll be discussing the syllabus in more detail. Thank you.